Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Randy Baxter. I'm President of Asset Positioning Services, and we're going to be talking about the income sale opportunity involved in estate planning, uh, which I like to call the back end sale. Take notes, and we'll fix this problem later. But a couple of things on the back end on the income sale. The first thing you have to do is you have to have permission to see the research that you've done and the numbers that you've run. They have to have agreed to that. And you did that on the sale, on the front end sale. You're going to set up the delivery time. They're either going to come to your office or you're going to go to their home. And when you get there, you want to review the conversation on page 2. You're going to talk about whether when you ask on page 2 of the confidential, you talk to them about whether they had long-term care or not. You reviewed their income. You reviewed their health. Then you went over to page 3 on the confidential and got a ballpark review of their assets. Now remember, on page 3, you're going to talk to them about how much money they keep in their checking account. And usually that's going to be somewhere between $5,000 and $30,000, $40,000. You're going to review whether they have a money market account or not, because that money market account, if you can find out what the reason for that money market account is, that may be where your sale comes from. Because you have to isolate the assets you think you can use, and you do that by asking great questions on page 3. But you're also going to ask them about their annuities. And sometimes people are going to say, yeah, I think the case we had tomorrow, they've got 5 or 6 annuities already. That means they're annuity buyers. But it also means that if you find out that they have accumulating annuities that don't have an income that can last for life and will not cover the well-being benefit, then you've got a real good chance for a 1035 exchange or transfer of the existing annuities into the solution that you have. And a lot of times that's the easiest sale. So before I go any further on that, do you have any questions on why we want to know what annuities they already have are? None? That's good. But I don't mind answering one if you got one. Okay, so let's say they have an Allianz, a 222. Well, see, you have to know your products. An Allianz 222 is a no fee based income product that you have to hold on for 10 years before you can use it. Okay. American Equity's got one called Estate Shield that works just like the Allianz 222. If that person, when you go back to their health questions and you see that they have a health issue that may require that they have that money sooner, then you've got a real easy sell of moving that Allianz 222 or that State Shield contract with American Equity into a true income annuity contract that might start in day 1, year 2, or that might start on the after 30 days. Let's stop right there, and that would be the after 30 days would be the Emeritus contract through Legacy, which you can get through Mike Bemis. The other one might be any of the American Equity or F&G products that have income that starts within a year. So can you see why it's important to understand what kind of annuities they have? They also might have a variable annuity, and those are so easy to convince people to switch from the way a variable annuity works, the way an index annuity works, with a bonus to get rid of the surrender charge and turn the income on for life. So sometimes you can go in there just by knowing, if you do a good job on page 3, you know what products you can move into the product that may solve their problem. On my business card, I have something called Finding Your True Purpose for Money. And the reason I say that is if that annuity doesn't meet their true purpose, it's vulnerable to making it meet the true purpose. So I'm not into replacing everything you run into, but I am into finding if that annuity that they own is actually solving the problems that they have. And if you can come in and show them that, your prestige is going to go up because you're going to be so knowledgeable and you're going to have the numbers. It's not going to cost them anything. All they got to do is sign some transfer paperwork and move it over, and voila, they've got the new product that handles what their problem is. And most of the time, it's an income tied to a health issue or tied to the death of a spouse. Okay, so that's why we talk about their annuities. I want to go on down a little bit and talk to them about their current life insurance. Sometimes if they have life insurance, it's a term policy and they're in their 70s and they've only got 1 or 2 years left on it. They don't like the income that they're going to get. You might be able to convert it for them to a universal life plan. You might be able to turn it into a life insurance policy with long-term care benefits. You might be able to just write them another one. Okay, so anyway, we've talked about their money markets and their annuities and their life insurance, and then we get on down to their IRAs and their qualified investments, and you know, you might want to talk to your tax advisors and find out what happens to IRAs. You know, if you have to pull the money out, it's 100% taxable. If they use that money to pay for health care, it's not always 100% taxable. So you might show them the advantages of rolling some of their IRA over into their index annuity IRA with well-being benefits. So if you understand page 3 and you did a good job on page 2, when you go back in and make your presentation, you're going to refer to page 2 on the income gaps. And the first thing you're going to talk to them about is let's see what the gap is. Now, you already know what the gap is, and you've already contacted the folks at Simplicity to run the numbers for you. So, but you can do it in your head. Now think about this. If you got a pencil and piece of paper, if you run into somebody with $1,000 gap, and you know that their income payout, if they're young, is going to be about 5%. If they're in their 80s, it might be 6 or 7%. But let's just say it's at 5%. If they have $1,000 gap at 5%, that means that they have a $12,000 a year income gap. And that to find out how much money you need to put into an income annuity contract becomes very easy, because you need to say $12,000 income gap divided by a 5% payout equals blank. Remember those questions in the 5th grade? Well, the answer is 240,000. So you can start them out at $240,000. And if you look over there and see that they have an annuity with Allianz and the 222 or Nightlife of Denver, whoever, you can show them how moving that money over to the product that you're recommending solves that problem without having any out-of-pocket expense. And before I go any further, if you have any questions, stop right now and ask me a question about that. So you can do it in your head, and you can know that $1,000 gap is at payout at 5% is $240,000. Well, if they're perfectly healthy and you ask those questions in their part 2 on the health questions, they may say, well, I don't think we're going to need it next year, but let's look and see what we need it 5 or 6 years from now. So you can call your consultant and you say, I need $1,000 a month in year 7. How much money do I need to set aside now to have $1,000 a month guaranteed in year 7? And Tony, that's the answer if you're talking to the 58 or 59-year-olds who haven't retired yet. So if we need $1,000 in year 7, we know we're going to have an income growth at 6 or 7%, whatever the product shows, and don't have to have it for 7 years. That's 42% growth. So that would tell me that you might only need 40% of $250,000 or set 40% of 240,000. So can anybody factor that out real quick? I don't have my calculator with me, but That'll tell you the number that you can put in now that'll grow to be $240,000 in year 7. That'll pay out that 5% benefit. So you can do it, and I do so much of it just on a piece of paper there in front of my client. Sometimes I don't need the illustration. The only thing I want on the illustration in the computer is the Retire Now software. So the only way you can
do 96,000.
How much?
96,000.
Okay. Well, okay. Okay. 40% is 96,000. So you have to subtract the 96,000 from the 240. That'll give you the 60% number. So that 96,000 is the amount of growth that you don't need today that you're going to get naturally in the contract. So you subtract that 96 from the 240, and that'll tell you you probably need about
144.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a sale for $144,000. I don't know how much you make on those things, but it's close to about $9,000 or $10,000. And you solve their income gap. But now you can say, but by the way, and then you go back and look at your health questions down there, and you can see that maybe dad's got diabetes or had a heart problem or two, or maybe a TIA in his medical history. He may need that money a little sooner, or he may need more. And that's where you can add the well-being rider to that number, which doubles. That takes that 1,000 to 2,000. Got a question?
Yeah. So when you come up and let's say it's 144, that means that you would need an annuity for 144,000.
I always say you might, because I'm going to show you, because I think
you broke off.
Okay, I would say to them that they might want an annuity for $144,000. I wouldn't say need.
Okay.
All right. Now the reason for that is I also want to refer you up to the part 2 question about the long-term care. If they do not have long-term care, and we know that there's certain amounts of income that are going to be lost at the first death, the one that usually suffers the most at the first death is the surviving spouse who has spent all their money taking care of the sick spouse. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So there's 2 areas there. One, do you have enough money to take care of the spouse who will probably get sick first? And do you have enough money to pay for care for the surviving spouse if they need it later on in their life if they get sick second? And don't let me lose anybody here, but you need to see that, you need to talk to them about those issues. And you got to remember that when you made the presentation in the go-to first interview, you've already opened the door for Pillow Talk on the long-term care. You've already opened the door for Pillow Talk on the income. And you've already opened the door for the Pillow Talk on the health status. And you got to remember, you're going to invite them back. You sell them the trust, and then you invite them back for the delivery. You're going to make the real nice delivery, the Godiva delivery. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you've already planted these seeds. Where on the way home, mom might turn around to dad and say, Randy's right. I do have a problem if you pass away. I'd like to get that fixed. And dad's going to say, well, we'll see what he's got to say. They might even say, I want to talk to the broker. That's fine. That's just denial. Dad are going to talk between Friday afternoon and 1 week from now, Friday afternoon. And they're going to say, you know what? When we go in, he's going to talk to us about some numbers. He's going to try to sell us something. And I don't push very hard on those sales. I just show them the math. And if you use the Retire Now software, and those of you who are not licensed with Simplicity, you can't have access to the Retire Now software. I can run you one, or I'll teach Wynn how to do it. But if you have somebody that's got $95,000 a year gross income for mom and dad, and you go in with that easy to use software and you trigger it and show them that the first death's going to cost them $42,000 a year, and all of a sudden that $90,000 is going to drop down to $50,000, and they see that number on the screen, a lot of them will stand up and point at that number and they'll go, is this how big the loss is when one of us dies? And the answer is yes. And the other one will turn around and say, we need to fix that. And in most cases, it doesn't take all the money to fix that. But it might take a chunk of it that they have already accumulated. And if they haven't accumulated enough of it, they need to see if they can buy a life insurance policy to fix that amount, that number in. So you've got a good chance for an annuity sale and a good chance for a life sale. You've also got a good chance to pick up their assets under management if you want them. If you're an investor type. So my question for you is, why not be the person who shows them how to solve it, and why not be the person who shows them what the problem is? And the reason that stockbrokers won't show them that problem is they don't want them to move their money. The stockbroker's acting in a selfish interest to not show them how to solve that problem. That's why you win.
Oh, but Randy, they're fiduciaries. They wouldn't put their first interest.
Well, you don't have to accuse them of it. You just say, and y'all have seen me sometimes. I mimic mentors, and when it's time to be quiet, you just be real quiet and hold your hands up and go, ah. It's their conclusion that's important, not the stockbrokers, and they will see why the stockbroker has not done it. And I'll tell you why the stockbrokers have not done it. In many cases, they don't know how. And there's been many times when I've walked in a stockbroker's office and I've looked at them and I said, look, I don't want all your business. I just want them to take care of this problem. And they're so thankful that you don't want all their business, and right for yet, but solve the problem. But, you have to be good at solving the problem. When you talked about it the other day, you said you wanted to see me do it some more. And my answer is, I need you to go out and do it and not be successful a time or two and learn the things that you didn't know, because you can't make every sale every time. But at the same time, I know how good you're going to be when you learn the value of page 2 and page 3 when you put them together in the back end sale. So, did everybody understand what I just said? Vic, are you with us? Lisa, are we on mute, or is everybody?
No, we're good.
Okay, good.
No,
good.
Randall, they can hear you.
Okay, all right.
There's nothing in the chat.
Okay, so when you go in and do this and you say, I need to do some research and I need to run some numbers, call whoever your consultant is. If your consultant doesn't know how to do that, you need to not do business with that consultant. Because this is where you make the big front end sale. You don't pivot to, a lot of them will say, oh, let's just sell me universal life. Well, that's a product salesman. Go in and show them the problem and say, let's design the product that you need to purchase around this problem. And that's when your income's going to go up. That's when they're going to give you referrals. That's when they're not going to ever replace what they bought, because they know what they've got. So every retiree wants to know that they won't run out of income. Their stockbrokers have said, oh, don't worry about the market crash. It's going to come back. And it will. But what if they don't have enough time for it to come back and they have to start cashing out to pay for their care at home, or their care in assisted living, or their care in skilled care? So the selling point is take care of this issue, leave the rest of it in the market, because if the market goes up or down, it doesn't threaten your income. And people, even wealthy people, they buy that. That's what they want. So what we need to learn, and we're going to do it in the 1 o'clock show, but the 1 o'clock show doesn't premiere until next week. We're going to do the income for life software, and I'm going to show you how it works, and show you how you can put the assets in, and how you can put the income stuff in on the software. But first of all, I just need you to learn, I need you to be aware that there is a reason for doing page 2 and page 3 correctly. And there is a reason for saying, I need to do some research and I need to run some numbers. And there is a reason why you want them to come back in and talk about the proper funding of their estate plan, including the deeds that they need to do, which you can make $100 or $175 on each one, and the long-term care conversation and the income conversation and the risk and principal conversation. So some people, they might not buy the income or might not, well, I closed one the other day and say, hey, you've got a lot of money right here. You're 85 years old. You've already won the game. Why are you still playing? And the end result was about $3 million. It was just that simple statement. Did I hear somebody moan about that statement? That's the power phrases. We're going to be talking about the power phrases, not next week, but the week after that. I'll be going over all the different power phrases for you to use. You can learn them ahead of time. I think it's lesson 24 in the 30-day advanced training spoon-fed classes on the emails. But we've been going hard here all morning. I'd like to go ahead and a lot of you have been with me all morning. Is there anything that you're missing or you'd like to have clarified on what we're doing here? Huh.
When you have someone who they do not have long-term care, one of them does have health issues, but yet let's say they've only got, 300-ish thousand dollars. How do you know what to present that's actually best for their situation?
You have to talk about the risk. You have to talk about the prognosis. And I don't think $300,000 is going to solve the problem. We got 3 choices. We can either do all of it, none of it, or some of it. I don't think all of it's an option, but we can do as much of it as you can afford and hope that it doesn't go bad, or you can leave it in the market. Sometimes if somebody shows you a situation that they can't solve, and if you think the life insurance can't be issued, but you'd be surprised at how easy some of the One America and stuff like that, how easy they are on underwriting. Use your health questions, use your numbers, go to your consultant, show them those numbers, show them the situation, tell them about the page 2, tell them what you know about their assets, and that consultant will come up with the best offer. I'm not trying to dodge your question, Tony, but at the same time, that's where Mike Bemis and them come in. I can get you to that point, but it's almost like a whole nother job to take you to the next level. I can take you to that level, but I'm always going to say, confirm that with your consultant and get the product illustrations from them. That makes sense?
Yes, definitely.
And then start looking for somebody with more than 300. 300 is a good number. People will use some of their numbers for 300,000. They may already have an annuity, but it just might not solve the problem. But you put those doublers on there and see what happens. See if it doesn't solve the problem. And it might not solve it all. It just might not. But if mom's got $2,000 Social Security and a $8,000 long-term care need, she's got a $6,000 total long-term care need, which means she needs to have an annuity that'll pay her $3,000 a month. And because if she has the doubler, that'll take it to 6. So $36,000 equal 5% of some number. That's $720,000 sale if they have it. Now, what life insurance they've already got, and say, okay, Dad, you've got some health problems. You're closer to the cliff. What are we going to do with that life insurance? And why don't we go ahead and start what we can right now? And if we get the opportunity to use that life insurance, we can dump it into that product for mom. So you're going to have to be able to read the page 2 and page 3. And you're going to have good information from your consultant. Okay, any other questions on that? There's um, if you don't have the Retire Now software, you can get it from Mike Bemis. You can get it from any of the consultants at Simplicity of Minnesota. They will not give it to you unless you've got a couple of contracts with them. I can run them for you. I can teach Wynn how to run them for you, but I can't give you access to the software, and because it's not mine to give you access to. But I can help you with the sale once we get the loss on the Retire Now. Once we get those numbers, then we can go to whatever consultant you want to. But you've got the best. You've got the opportunity to make a connection with some of the best in the income arena. Some IMOs are really good at IUL. Some IMOs are not very good at the income side. But the real sales are the income side with the attached life insurance sale. And once you prove it to your suspect who became your prospect, who became your client because they purchased their estate plan from you, they are going to listen. I promise you, they will listen to your offer. Your offer has to be a no-brainer. It has to be superior to all other offers. It has to be intellectually absorbable, and it has to be a no-brainer. And if you make that presentation to them using the superiority and the intellectual side and the no-brainer side, you know, how can they tell you no? And if they tell you no, they're either not absorbing it, or they don't understand it, or they can't do it, or their broker's telling them not to do it. Sure, there's lots of reasons out there, but don't be guilty of not making the best offer. How's that? Anything else? I'm sorry, my video didn't work. Lisa, you and I need to have a little lesson on that and make that work. That's a good video, and I want them to watch it.
Okay,
you all
we can do
can-
it tomorrow morning.
Okay, but everybody everybody on this site today can go and listen to that video right now on my website. So, what was the
I'll
name
put
of
the
it?
link in the chat.
Put that link in the chat and go
Yeah.
watch that video. It takes 30 minutes. And if you have some more time this afternoon, go ahead and watch that video for 30 minutes. Send me some questions. I'm going to be hanging out here at the house today and working on some paperwork and stuff. And when I'm going to be in the office in the morning early.
Okay,
And,
sounds
and,
good.
I hope this full day of classes has helped those of you who attended all of them. And the whole purpose of it is to make you see that the process is easy if it's correctly implemented on the suspect side. It will lead you to the prospect. It will lead you to the client on the front end. It'll lead you to the back end sale. So, and then it's just a numbers game, you know. And if 10 doesn't work, try 12. And if 10 overwhelms you, back off to 8. You know, but you only have to back off or increase on the entry level. That's your tempo. So establish your tempo before you try to grow your momentum. And once you find a comfortable tempo, we will concentrate on what's successful about that tempo. And if you want to increase your momentum and your income, we will increase the behavior in that one specific area, not across the board. You already have everything ready across the board. So that's the secret. I hope you learn to make $1 million. I've made a couple million doing it. And you know what? I didn't invent it. I listened to my mentors. I listened to the people who guided me, and I implemented what they asked me to do. And you know, about 4.5 years ago, I decided that my life was better spent teaching people what I do than it was actually going out and doing it every day. I do it every day, but I don't spend 40 hours a week doing it anymore. That's what happens to you when you hit 70. You want to teach people what you did that worked. And that's all we're trying to do here. So anyway, I'm going to let you go unless you have any questions.
The video link is in the chat if anyone wants to click on it.
Yeah, click on it and go there and spend that time. Mike Bemis makes the presentation. He shows you what you need to know. I think he adds the for life process to it, and it only takes 31 minutes and 10 seconds. So, okay, anything else? I bet wore my talker out this morning. So I'm
That
gonna
was a
stop.
great meeting. Thank you.
It was
Okay.
a great session.
Okay, so everybody go implement if you can. If you can't, let's identify why you can't, and it's either you're not able to, you don't want to, or you're not willing to invest the time. It's not all three. It's usually just one of those. Solve it, and watch your income go up. All right, I'm gonna go. Thanks,
Very
everybody.
helpful. Thank you, Randy.
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bye.
Appreciate all of you. Bye.